it means that Mr. Teo is going to kickstart with some recording, right? Yes? Okay, so yes, I would like to hear from all of you. How do you find this particular lecture test? Okay, I'll run a poll. Okay, please help me. There's only one question. Okay, so we have a normal distribution. Okay, it's a small sample size to start with. Okay, I will just share the poll results. One found it to be easy, one found it to be a bit hard, and one found it to be exceptionally hard. Sure. Okay, so for those who found it a bit hard or exceptionally hard, I would like to hear from all of you, both of you. Okay, because both of you mentioned there's some degree of difficulty, right? Yes, I'd like to hear from both of you. Okay, you can type it out on the chat. Okay, which aspect do you find difficult? Okay, so later on when we go through this, I will sort of customize for those who found it difficult and see what I can do better for the both of you. Type it out on the chat. Okay, someone mentioned that rationing. Okay, what is rationing? How do we address rationing? Now, can you hear the thunder at the background? I'm just curious. Can or not? I don't know how many things I'm supposed to write. Okay, so for those who found that you're not sure what to write, how to write, okay, good. Okay, you're in the right place. Okay, I'm going to work with you step by step on how to write. Okay, and for those who found that there are particular challenges, I will work with you. Okay, and for those who found it easy, okay, make sure you listen out for the things that is not in your script. Okay, because based on what I've heard and seen from yesterday's class, those who found it easy, okay, in the end, okay, it's not that easy after all. Okay, so with this, okay, I would like all of you, okay, to go to the Jamboard link that I have sent to all of you. Okay, and I have also private messaged you your individual slide number. Okay, so you will be identified by slide number, so nobody will know what you write. Okay, and who is writing what. Okay, so does anyone has difficulty accessing your Jamboard? Okay, it should look something like this, huh? Okay, so slide 1, slide 2, and slide 3. Okay, so there are only 3% in this group. Good. So now, okay, with reference to this particular question, okay, this is what I will expect you to do. Okay, with the upcoming Jamboard, make sure you can carve out into 4 segments. Okay, so the 4 segments will include an introduction paragraph, a body paragraph 1, a body paragraph 2, and a synthesis. Okay, so you have ample space for this 4. Okay, so especially for students who mention that I don't know what to write and how much to write. Okay, let's start with introduction first. Okay, so everyone, use your slide number and illustrate to me what do you intend to write as an introduction. Okay, you can use Post-it, you can use your PLD, I leave it to you. So the thing about introduction, 2 things to note. Number 1, no introduction is like going to your friend's house unannounced. You don't even knock on the door, right? So will you be welcome? Okay, you think through that yourself. Number 2, okay, for introduction that starts with a diagram, right? You start off your introduction with a diagram. Okay, this is like going to your friend's house with your shoes on. Alright? Okay, so will you be welcome? Think through that yourself. Yeah, so these 2 are the 2 taboos of introduction. You have to have an introduction and never start an introduction with a diagram. Okay? Now, okay, with reference to this particular question, okay, and I would suggest people who is watching this, okay, if you find this question easy, you skip the outline, okay, and you go to the answer straight away, sure. Okay, but if you find that the question is somewhat tricky or you're not sure the thought process behind what is discussed later on in the answer clip, then I suggest you to watch this outline closely because I will be working on the derivation of answers. Okay, so introduction, quick. Define what? Okay, we have a definition of a price control. So is price okay, I'm not going to comment first lah. Okay, you can carry on with your if you're writing first. Okay, for those who are faster, you can go to your body paragraph 1. Okay, but we will go through. Okay, once the last person finish the intro, I'll go through that. Okay, so look at your own slide. You shouldn't be looking at other people's slide. And I've said, okay, for those who are faster, you can go to body paragraph 1. Okay, so if you're struggling with an intro, it probably means that you have no intro. Yeah, so I just want you to learn. Okay, so okay, for slide 3 is taking a significantly longer time. Okay, so I will probably, okay, let's look at slide number 2. Everyone, okay, freeze whatever that you're doing. Okay, so you can see that slide 2 has a significantly lengthier intro than slide 1. Okay, so the commonalities between the both of them is they define what are price control, which is a form of a maximum price. So the thing about price control is not always a maximum price. Not always, not always. Alright, so a price control could be a minimum price or a maximum price. In this case, you have to identify, okay, the type of price control. Don't need to make amendments here. Okay, whatever that I jot down here is for learning purpose. Anyway, nobody will know who does slide 1. Okay, so yes, it's all for learning. Okay, so identify, okay, the type of price control as a maximum price is probably better. Okay, and between the two slides, they also mention about, okay, so you can see that the second slide, they talk about price control as a form of price ceiling as a form of price control. There's a good definition. Okay, and rationing. Okay, what is rationing? Okay, so this is the biggest problem in the entire question. Okay, later on I'll talk more about that. Okay, so you can see that I'm not sure whether the first author is going to define what is rationing, but you can see that there is a attempt to define what is rationing, right? Okay, a rationing simplifies this as a maximum number of quota or number of masks that each person can buy. Sure. So the thing that I particularly like about slide 2 is that there is an attempt to contextualize. Okay, if you read the intro, everything is mask related. Do you see that? Okay, as compared to the first extract, the first one, you can see that it's not so customized. So things you want to learn is, okay, contextualization is key. So I would say that this is a good attempt on contextualization right from the start. Okay, you can take down notes. Okay, at the end of the session, I'll wipe away all the outline. Okay, you can take down notes if you like. Okay, later on I'll go through the answer. Okay, so slide 3 hasn't come out with anything yet. Sure. Okay, now the question stated equitable outcome, right? Okay, so what is equitable outcome? Okay, so down here I don't see anyone defining what is equity. Okay, oh yes, okay, someone talk about fair distribution. Okay, so this is something good. Okay. Oh, you type out something just that is not loading. Then in that case, you may want to rejoin. I'm not sure. Okay, you may want to rejoin. Okay, so Now, having a good intro or having have an introduction, let's move on to your body paragraph. So before we move on to the body paragraph, we need to know or need to identify the type of question, right? So you can see that assess whether price control coupled with rationing here will bring about a more equitable outcome. So do we agree that this is a thesis and antithesis question? Okay, I don't see any other ways to do this question, right? So thesis, more equitable. Antithesis, maybe not so more equitable, or some other ways of illustrating that it is not going to lead to a more equitable outcome, right? So let's try with your body paragraph first. Okay, so I would like to see how is price control together with rationing. The keyword here is together with rationing will lead to a more equitable outcome. Okay, please go ahead. Hey, don't ask ChatGPT. I forgot to mention, cannot ask ChatGPT. Integrity, integrity. Can? Okay, so for slide 3, okay, efficient allocation of resource with price control normally doesn't come hand in hand. Okay, price control is normally used, especially price ceiling, to ensure equitable outcome. Okay, price control will lead to deadweight loss. And efficient allocation of resource is not the focus of this question. Not the focus. Okay, and rationing, you may want to refer to slide 2. Okay, on what is the definition for rationing. Okay, so continue to build your first body paragraph. And I would like to challenge all of you to build a proper topic sentence. Then you'll see where are you heading towards to. Okay, so we are done with the first body paragraph. Or rather, we are done with the first intro. Let's work on your body paragraph. Okay, so please develop your paragraph 1. Okay, and I would like to, especially for students, I would like you all to focus on the emphasis of what is rationing. Okay, because that was the biggest problem, okay, earlier on. And none of the students know how does rationing comes into the picture. So especially when you address equitable outcome, okay, the first E, okay, you will want to look into whether there are 2 A words that are used. Okay, there are 2 A words that you should consider. Okay, the first one that you want to consider is access. Okay, whether are there any access, okay, especially to lower income earners for a particular good. Number 2, affordability. You can check your own answer, okay, whether you have used these 2 terms. Okay, so for equity-based question, okay, these 2 A words normally come hand in hand. Okay, from your outline, I do not see, okay, at least, okay, these 2 A words being used. Okay, so please develop your body paragraph. I still don't see how rationing works here. And I still don't see how rationing works here. Okay, and I still don't see how rationing works here. Price ceiling is easy. Okay, but rationing is not so straightforward. Okay, so we have spent quite a considerable time. Okay, I just want to take another look. Okay, so the slide number 1 still hasn't covered anything that I've mentioned yet. Slide number 2. Okay, so for your body paragraph 2, this is your antithesis. Okay, so read the question carefully. Yeah, the question requires you to combine both of them. Okay, so both of them should appear in the same first body paragraph. You cannot split them up. It cannot be splitted. Okay, so reserve your body paragraph 2 for your antithesis. Okay, don't deviate. Okay, so now, okay, I'm going to go through some of the outlines that I see that we can work on. Okay, so another thing that you want to consider for equity is you want to illustrate from the lower income earners. Okay, so I'm particularly confused. Okay, because while lower income earners will be protected, I'm not sure how it reduces hoarding, right? Because if you state this, you have to tie into what is rationing. Okay, if you haven't defined what is rationing, okay, so it's mentioned here. Rations are equal to a number of masks that each person is allocated. Sure. Okay, so you have to tie up how does it reduce hoarding. Okay, hoarding only occurs when there's a black market. So from the first body paragraph, I sense that there is some confusion. The question is asking you about the effectiveness. Okay, or rather it's asking you whether this will bring about a more equitable outcome. Okay, so if you suggest black market that early in your body paragraph 1, okay, you are suggesting an inequitable outcome. Okay, so I'm not sure whether you're confused with the structure, but this is something that you need to pay attention to, okay, for slide number 1. Okay, so for slide number 2, okay, are we concerned about consumer and producer surplus? Do we need to know this? This question is concerned about efficiency or equity. Okay, if we are concerned about efficiency, then we need to know what's day weight loss, right? But do we need to know that here? We don't need to know that. Okay, so not loaded fully, so don't have. What does it mean? Okay, maybe you need to refresh. You need to refresh. How maybe? Okay, so this one, no need to state that. Okay, so a lot of students, whenever they see price control, they are obsessed with coming out with consumer producer surplus. Okay, so you have to identify what's the question objective. If the question objectives are equity, about accessibility and affordability, the whole concern is about P. Okay, it's not about the shaded areas that we have went through. Okay, so avoid going off tangent. This is very dangerous. Okay, this will lead to loss of marks. Okay, so this is more appropriate here. Okay, so now, okay, so this is the part that you want to be concerned. Okay, so this is more likely to be an antithesis, right? Okay, if you were to read this, okay, lower affordability, less equitable outcome. okay, this is more likely to be an anti-thesis. So your positioning of your point could be better, could be more polished. Do we need to introduce that early under your thesis? Okay, we don't need to, right? Okay, and I still haven't seen how rationing comes into the picture. Okay, so later on I will use a diagram to illustrate. PED is inelastic. Quantity that can be bought does not change regardless of price offered. Okay, I am not particularly sure, okay, whether this is a body paragraph or a synthesis. Okay, but in any case, okay, this seems to affluent. I need to see what you write about this. But anyway, okay, we don't really need PED here. Later on, I'll show you where PED comes into the picture. Okay, but this one, okay, seems a little bit. I'm not sure. I haven't read your script. Okay, so I will put a question mark here. Okay, so for the last one, okay, price ceiling. Okay, okay, I will cancel this. These two must come hand in hand. So there's a perpetual shortage. Good. So this is probably the first essay that I've seen that has a shortage, right? Oh, this one also has. Okay, so remember the basis of rationing must tie in with a shortage. Okay, so how does it actually work? Okay, so everyone, okay, make sure you have your diagram with you. I'm going to show you how the diagram works. Okay, so diagram will be somewhere here. Okay, so the basis of inequity, okay, or to achieve a more equitable outcome is you must illustrate what is P0. If you read the extract, they tell you that free market, okay, often results in what? Very high prices, right? Low income earners cannot afford basic necessities like masks, yes? So you can see that this is the free market price. Okay, and you have to illustrate what is the significance of this from the perspective of equitable or fairness of resource distribution. Okay, can the low income earners afford P0? Can or cannot? Cannot, right? Okay, so we have to identify and accept that under a free market at P0, some of or most of the lower income earners will be priced out of the market. Okay, like I said, these two A words, they will lose access to basic necessities or they'll find it unaffordable. Then price control in the form of price ceiling will come in. Okay, make sure you define what is that. Okay, and when you explain how it works, okay, you got to illustrate what? Okay, you got to relate back to unaffordability. Okay, so you can illustrate that because of a price ceiling, now lower income earners can afford a lower price mask at a mandatory or permissible price that's charged. Okay, so this is the whole basis of linking back to the question. Link back to affordability, link back to accessibility. How do we get these two? Okay, when prices are lowered. Okay, so check your answer whether you have that. Now, okay, the next thing, in order to justify rationing, okay, so you can see that price control coupled with rationing. Why do we need to couple with rationing? Okay, the top process or the reason behind the rationale of this is fairly straightforward. Because price ceiling will create a what? Will create a perpetual shortage. So you want to illustrate that at PPC, okay, quantity supplied will go down. Okay, producers will be less incentivized to produce. They will produce up to QS, and quantity demanded will increase. Okay, because okay, mass of price is cheaper. This is a price factor, right? Quantity demanded will go up, and you have to illustrate a shortage. So you can see that when there's a shortage, okay, producers are only willing to sell to QS, and at QS, this is actually shared between whom? Okay, the high income and low income. Okay, is everyone following me? So you can see that, okay, both high income and low income earners are going to be subjected to a shortage. They cannot get access to the mask. So despite, okay, the lower income earners are going to benefit, Okay, but in this case, this will lead to a shortage. There may be a case where they can't get access because of a perpetual shortage. So this is where rationing comes into the picture. Okay, rationing, if you read the extract, tells you what? Okay, it also impose a weekly ration. Okay, or for a particular good that's in high demand, you set a specific quota that you can buy. 2 face masks per person to avoid panic buying and prioritizing to healthcare workers. Right? So if you recall in the pandemic era or the pandemic years, you realize that there's a shortage of masks, right? Yes? Okay, so what does the government in Singapore do? Okay, number one, each household will be allocated 1 box, right? Regardless of your income, right? Do they discriminate by income? They don't discriminate by income, right? So each household will get 1 box. So the next thing is, each household will get probably 1 box, okay? Is it going to, is the number of box, is it going to vary according to your household family members? No, right? No matter big household or small household, you have to what? Okay, stick with 1 box. Right? So during those years, you realize that sometimes we wear our face mask, although it's not very hygiene, right? Sometimes we do that, yes? Okay? So you can see that although it doesn't solve the problem of shortage, okay, but it actually provides or guarantees basic access to low income and high income earners. So this is the key thing about rationing. Okay? You don't get the full access. If you want the full access, then you let the free market to work. Okay, but if you let the free market to work by removing the price ceiling, then in that case, some of the lower income earners cannot afford masks. So the next better alternative is I have a price ceiling. This will create a shortage, but I allocate masks. Okay, I fix a particular quantity to each household, regardless of your income, regardless of your household size, and stick with that. Okay, so no matter your low income or high income, okay, you will still what? Okay, you will still get at least a box. Okay, you will still get guaranteed basic, okay, access. Basic, I mentioned basic, not full access, okay, to masks. Okay, so this will alleviate the problem of a shortage. It doesn't cure the problem of a shortage, but at least, okay, you can get some access to that. Is everyone follow what I'm saying? Okay, so make sure you play the R card properly, rationing. Okay, how does it come in to alleviate the shortage issue? Okay, it comes in to alleviate, okay, through providing basic access. Okay, but of course, lower income earners is going to benefit more because initially they cannot even afford the mask. Now they are guaranteed 1 box. Not so bad, right? It's a better proposition than nothing. So check your answer. Okay, I suspect that the R word is not there. Okay, or is painfully not present. Okay, so far I haven't gone through the answer yet. Okay, I've only gone through using a diagram. And theoretically, I haven't gone through the answer yet. Now, body paragraph 2. If you understood how body paragraph 1 is constructed, we are looking about promoting a more equitable outcome. So these two, when they are combined, lower income earners are better off. Right? No doubt there's a shortage. Lower income earners can guarantee chop, okay, at least 1 box, okay, because of rationing. Now, I want you all to work on your body paragraph 2. Tell me, how is these two combination going to potentially worsen equity? Okay, so another way to interpret this question, okay, is to work on the antithesis. The antithesis mentioned that if it is not going to bring about a more equitable outcome, this is going to worsen the outcome, right? Okay, are we going to interpret it like that? Antithesis, one more time. Okay, antithesis, price control together with rationing will not bring about a more equitable outcome. In other words, it's going to worsen the equitable scenario, right? Now, tell me, how is it going to worsen? Okay, type it out. Okay, for those who find my screen a bit small, you can expand it. Yes, okay, I understand what you are saying. Okay. So the point is, especially for, I'm not sure which slide you are, okay, but whoever that asked me that question, okay, you may want to consider this down here, right? Okay, illustrate how a black market, okay, is going to worsen the equitable outcome. So for all the slides, I see equitable black market, okay, but you have to know where is the role of black market. Black market, okay, may form as a result of price ceiling. Okay, I think all of you should know this by now. This is basic, okay, price ceiling concept. But how do we actually use this, okay, and illustrate how equity is worsened? Okay, that's the catch. Okay, so the concept behind black market is there will be high prices that's charged by producer. So on the flip side, okay, you have to illustrate how equity is worsened, especially for lower income earners. I'm not saying that this is wrong. Okay, I'm saying that there's a better point, right? Especially if some of you already brought up black market already, right? So learn to play your cards wisely. Okay, find a more substantial point to talk about. Come, second body paragraph. So the direction you should be looking out for, okay, is, okay, what are the unintended consequences of price ceiling, right? So the unintended consequences of price ceiling is a black market. Okay, so when you attempt this, okay, I want you to reference to lesson 8. Lesson 8 is also another price ceiling essay. Okay, so the key difference between lesson 8 and this, okay, is lesson 8, if you use black market, okay, as an antithesis or evaluation, I'll mark you wrong. Okay, because there's a better limitation, okay, in lesson 8. But in this case, okay, it is unclear. Okay, this particular extract does not suggest any particular unintended consequence. Okay, so you should consider, all the more you should consider using black market. So another thing about for whoever that's using slide 1, okay, you have to connect the dots. Okay, so although you mentioned that not everyone has the same need for masks, okay, the connecting of the dots starts from price ceiling and rationing. Okay, you have to illustrate how price ceiling and rationing, how is it going to affect, okay, how is it going to benefit, okay, frontline workers in this case, which I don't see the clear connection. Okay, so it's a very dangerous proposition. I think you write too much. You hey, refresh yourself, refresh. Hey, or maybe I should refresh, right? Maybe it's my problem, right? I don't know, right? Maybe I should refresh. Yeah, I refresh already, still nothing. So structure is the key. Okay, so whatever that is going to help with equity, you put it under thesis. Whatever that is not going to help with equity, or how is it going to worsen equity, you put it under the antithesis. Is this still lagging? Okay, I'm running a bit short in time. Maybe I will request slide 2 to expand your. Can you make it bigger? Okay, I'll use yours. Okay, thanks. Okay, everyone, okay, eyes on slide 2. Okay, so you can see that with rationing not enforced, okay, ineffective application of pricing. So these two are not the same. Okay, so with or without rationing, okay, if your price ceiling is ineffective applied, okay, this will result in the rich can buy in bulk and sell at high. Okay, so this is the part that I do not quite agree. Okay, and the reason is because price has been lowered. Has already been lowered. So we can assume that there's going to be, okay, there's going to be equal access between the rich and the poor at PPC. Okay, equal access because price has been lowered. Okay, we don't need to consider the volume effect, how many boxes you can buy. Okay, we are looking at, okay, the price of the mask itself. Okay, so what I'm trying to illustrate or what I'm trying to say here is, okay, all of you should learn to use black market. Okay, so some of you have illustrated black market, but you have not played the black market card properly. Okay, so how can we play the black market card properly? Okay, so everyone, okay, eyes on this particular, eyes on the diagram, whichever diagram that you have drawn. Okay, so number one, you can critique on the effectiveness of price ceiling, right? So you can see that price ceiling is famously known to what? Is famously known to endanger or to worsen in the equity issue. Why is that so? Okay, so we all know that price ceiling is designed to protect consumers, right? Yes or no? Okay, that's the very first layer of understanding. But how is it going to worsen consumers, especially lower income earners? So we have to look at QS first. QS tells us this is the maximum amount of mass that is going to be produced by producers. Yes? Okay? And just now what I like about slide 2 is what? Okay, they talk about enforceability. So if the price ceiling is not enforced, okay, or is poorly enforced, what does it mean? Okay, it means that producers can charge a price that is higher than the legally permissible price, right? Yes? Okay, so in other words, when you want to talk about black market, these few things must happen. Number one, poor enforcement. Number two, hoarding. Okay, so you can see that producers, okay, will what? Okay, they will no longer sell goods at PPC. Okay, they will start to accumulate mass up to QS. Okay, and you can see that QS, if we were to drop a vertical line upwards, okay, along the demand curve, okay, do we agree that at this point along the demand curve, this reflects the maximum willingness of consumers to consume the good? Yes? So theoretically, okay, this is the maximum price that producers can extort from consumers. We call this price of black market. So when you draw a price ceiling diagram, make sure or try your best to use this, okay, to address how inequity arises. So you can see that if producers, okay, are able to fully price their mass, okay, at price of black market, Okay, will lower income earners be better off or worse off? Okay, they will be worse off, right? Can they afford price black market? They can't even afford P0. What do you think? Why do you think they can afford a price of black market? Okay, so this is something that you want to consider. Okay, on how this worsens, okay, the equitable outcome, especially for lower income earners. Okay, later on I will show you some other ways, okay, to talk about how inequitable outcome can be achieved, okay, without using black market. Okay, without using black market. Okay. So now let's build a synthesis together. Okay, everyone, let's try synthesis. Okay, sorry, I think we will be ending not by 6, okay, because we took a little bit more time to build the paragraphs. Let's build a synthesis. Okay, and what is a synthesis? Okay, so the strange thing about synthesis is whenever I see your script, okay, your SOI, your whatever assignment is submitted to me, the synthesis is always blank. Always. Most of the time. Okay, am I right to make this generalization? Why is your synthesis blank? There's only 2 possible outcomes. Number 1, you run out of time. Number 2, you don't know. Most likely it's going to be a combination of running out of time and don't know. That's why you don't care, right? Okay, but synthesis is notoriously easy if you know what the question is asking. So what do you think the question is asking? Use the Jamboard to construct a synthesis. Okay, I'll guide you all along the way. So in other words, a synthesis is not a conclusion. You don't repeat whatever that you tell me earlier on, okay, and you summarize it. This is not an AI. I don't need you to summarize your essay. Okay, what I need you to provide me is an insight, okay, that is not mentioned in the extract. So what is an insight talking about? So your thesis, we have your price ceiling, okay, and rationing is going to create a more equitable outcome. Your antithesis is going to worsen the equitable outcome, right? So the assumption here is both of them are equally weighted. So we want to justify which is more important. Is it going to be more equitable or less equitable? And you have to find the secret sauce or the secret ingredient, okay, that's going to shift the favor or tilt the balance towards one of the side. Let's try. Okay, I know some of you are in debate team. Okay, if you are in the debate team, you probably can work your argument faster. Okay. Okay, so like I've said, okay, it requires you to identify a secret sauce that's going to shift the favor. Okay, so now let's look at slide number 2. Okay, so whether price ceiling coupled with rationing is effective on ensuring is dependent on. So this is what I particularly like. Okay, so for synthesis, especially for thesis and antithesis question, okay, the key phrase I'm always scanning out for is, okay, is crucial or is dependent on what is one secret source. Okay, so using this D word is very powerful. Dependent on, okay, how much the government is willing to allocate resources to enforce, okay, the rationing and price ceiling, right? Okay, so just now I've mentioned, okay, in order for black market to thrive, it must thrive with, okay, one key element, okay, poor enforceability, right? If it is widely enforced, okay, if mass producers is sentenced to death, okay, if they are caught selling at higher price, do you think you still dare to flout the rules? Unlikely, right? Okay, so in this case, okay, this is a valid synthesis. Okay, so how much resources or how effective the government can conduct these two. If they can conduct these two, good. Then it's going to favor towards the thesis. If they cannot conduct these two properly, then it's going to favor the antithesis. Okay? Okay, slide 3, I haven't seen you try, so I don't know how I can help you. Okay, now let's look at slide 1, everyone. Okay, so slide 1, we can see that overall, it's like, maybe you need to update your computer, I don't know. Is everyone else facing the same lag? The others, is it still lagging? Also lagging. Yeah, I may need to ask Google what happened. Okay, let's try. Okay, but at least I see that, something that I can talk about. Okay, I'm not sure whether you guys can see. Maybe I make this smaller. Okay, or maybe I can turn off the banner. Let me see. Hey, that helps. Thanks. Hey, thanks to whoever slide 1 there is. I really did a great job for me. Okay, so overall it's going to be more equitable, okay, because of the possibility of a shrinking of a black market. Okay, so you can see that increase in production. Okay, increase in production of supply is going to what? It's going to reduce the amount of shortage. Okay, and when shortage is reduced or eliminated, then there won't be a price ceiling. Agreed? Okay, so you want to reduce your price quickly, right? One of the fastest ways is to impose a price ceiling. Yes, okay, but you can see that if you read the extract at the particular last point, okay, you can see that this particular sentence, production is being ramped up. So when production is ramped up, it serves the same effect of lowering prices. Okay, just that we are no longer meddling with price. Okay, we are meddling with supply in order to create a surplus and downward pressure on price. Okay, so how I would rephrase this question, okay, listen carefully, is although this is worth a shot, okay, but I still don't see the assumption. Okay, so a better way to paraphrase this, okay, is you probably want to consider how fast can supply be increased. Right? So if supply can be increased, okay, at quick enough, then in that case, okay, you can see that we are going to eliminate the shortage. Okay, then equity will prevail. Okay, otherwise, you can see that if it's way too slow, and then there's still going to be the same problem. Okay, so I think this is worth a shot. You just need to polish this a little bit. Okay, you can use the time period. So a lot of students ask me how to use time period. Okay, time period is not necessarily used from a government perspective or short run ineffective, long run effective. Okay, there are many ways to use time period. This is one way to use. Okay. Overall equitable. Okay, so this is what I mean by conclusion. Okay, a conclusion is not a synthesis. Okay, it doesn't provide us with a fresh insight of how your thesis or your antithesis is going to be more favored. Okay, so identify the silent element. Okay, so one way to look at this is enforceability. How much or how strict the government is going to enforce. Right? Okay, another way, you can also talk about that is very, very useful. Okay, in fact, it is so useful that you probably think that Mr Teo is joking. is what is the magnitude of price ceiling that you're going to impose, right? Yes? Have you ever thought about that? Okay, if you impose a price ceiling that is marginally lower like this, very, very small price ceiling, do you think it's going to be effective? Right? So in this case, okay, it's marginally lower than P0 only. So it's still going to price out a lot of lower income workers. Okay, or lower income households. That you all agree? So whether price ceiling together with rationing is effective or not depends on how much, right? What is the magnitude? Okay, so this is especially useful when you talk about, okay, when there's a policy involved that involves, okay, how much. Okay, you can look at the how much element. Can? So I'm going to go through the answer together. Okay, so for those who are watching this, okay, I'm going to go through the answer in a breeze because I have covered, okay, the thought process of how the answer is created. Okay, so if you don't understand what I'm saying in the answer, you probably need to revisit, okay, the outline. Okay, the outline is there for a good reason. Otherwise, I wish you good luck. Okay, so I don't suggest anyone who's watching this to cut corners. Can? So now, outline. Okay, so we have come out with the 4 paragraphs, right? Intro, body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, and synthesis. So have we addressed about how much to write? 4 paragraphs. No more, no less. 4 paragraphs plus 1 diagram. Clear? More or less, it will follow the same structure. Clear? So the only risk is number 1, don't have synthesis. Then you cut short 1 paragraph. Cut short 1 paragraph, I'll cut your marks. Okay, I was brought to the attention of one of a potential spelling mistake. Okay, so you can see that when price of mass increases, you can see that this is due to market forces, right? And possibly price gouging. Okay, I was brought to attention of this potential spelling mistake. Does anybody know what is price gouging? It means that producers are what? Okay, being opportunists, right? If you recall the great pandemic, there are some producers, they charge, okay, exorbitant price for one box of masks, right? Do you still remember that? Okay, so you can see that prices of masks will be, okay, way too high. Okay, and you can see that this is the first A word they want to consider, affordability. Okay, and you can see that because mass is a necessity, so you can see that equity will have these few keywords that are routinely used in cycles. Affordability, necessity, accessibility. Okay, so lower income earners will lack access. Then this will result in inequity. So I would suggest all of you to define what is equity in the first place. Now you can do your correction. Okay. Don't take this like a storytelling. Okay, start writing. Can? So what is equitable outcome? Fairness in distribution of mass resource, such that lower income household can afford. Okay, so the lower income households must be emphasized. Alright, so state your thesis clearly. Okay, avoid ambiguity. Don't bring in black market under your body paragraph 1 because it don't make sense. Okay, we want more equitable outcome. We don't want less equitable outcome. Okay, so this is how you structure and group your argument properly. Okay, so earlier on I have mentioned how the diagram works, right? I'm not going to illustrate how the diagram works again. More importantly, focus on what is P0. Okay, this will result in lower income earners being priced out of the market and the intervention by government. Okay, so the format you should look out for is identifying this as a form of price ceiling. Define what is price ceiling. Okay, and what is an effective price ceiling? You have to put it or set it below the equilibrium price. Okay, so at price ceiling, you can see that consumers, regardless of their income level, okay, can consume affordable mass at PPC. Okay, it's a combination of high and low income earners. So you can see that the lower income earners now, okay, can have a level playing field with the rich. In the initially, possibly at P0, only the rich can afford. Now, okay, you can see that at QS, although they are lesser production, both of them can afford at PPC. Okay? Next, okay, illustrate an unintended consequence. Okay, introduce the purpose of rationing. This is why price ceiling is used with rationing. Not all the time, okay, but most of the time they are used as a 1-2 combination. So number one, you have to introduce that there's going to be a shortage. Instead of Q0, now there's a shortage between QS and QD. Okay, and how is rationing going to come into the picture? Okay, it can come hand in hand. Okay, so rationing refers to setting a specific limit on high demand items, okay, or necessity items. So you can see that the South Korean government is setting a weekly ration, okay, for mass resources that are in shortage. Right? So like what I've mentioned earlier on, okay, setting a ration does not help with the shortage. It alleviates the shortage. Okay, it does not cure or it does not eliminate the shortage. It just alleviates the shortage by guaranteeing basic access to every citizen, regardless of high or low income. Okay, so you can see here, given quantity. Okay, or you can go further, basic access, basic quantity, right? So although it's not very hygiene, okay, but okay, if you re-wear a mask, theoretically you're still protected, right? Okay, although the efficacy may drop, okay, but no choice. Okay, so you can see that the lower income earners are going to benefit more, okay, because in the past they probably don't even have access, okay, but now, okay, they will share the same basic access with your high income earners. Clear? So this is something that is not so good about free market. Free market will not favor the low income earners because of their limited affordability, okay, to the lower income earners. I'm going to quickly move on to the antithesis. Okay, so state the antithesis clearly, okay, and you can quickly work black market. So black market occurs when number one, there's a lack of enforceability and producers starts to hoard mass. Okay, when they start to hoard mass, it simply means that they will what? Okay, they will want to only sell mass to people who can pay at a high price. So PBM is theoretically the maximum price that consumers are willing to pay. Okay, but in reality, this is something good to know. Okay, the price of mass, okay, that is happening in the black market, okay, often fluctuates between these two. Okay, this is the highest and this is the lowest. It depends on who has more bargaining power. Okay, but let's keep it simple. Price of black market is theoretically the highest price that can be charged. Okay, and consumers in this case will have to pay a higher price at PBM, right? Okay, so this will worsen inequity. Why? Because lower income earners, okay, will clearly lose access if prices of mass, okay, escalate to black market price. Okay, so the keyword here is playing with P. Okay, you have to state how P goes up to an uncomfortable level for the lower income earners. Please don't tell me about CS, PS, and deadweight lots. Okay, you are going to clearly go off tangent. Okay, don't memorize wholesale, vomit everything out. You vomit everything out, okay, you have to mop it up yourself. Okay, buy yourself an expensive mop. Okay? Synthesis. Okay, so synthesis, just now we have uncovered a few scenarios. Overall, I think this is the best. Okay, so whether it will promote a more equitable outcome or not depends on how enforceable the price ceiling is, right? Okay, whether the government has the resources to enforce that. Okay, if the government is able to enforce price control, okay, have hefty fines for producers or closing the mass production, okay, if they are caught, okay, selling a mandatory higher price, sorry, I don't need this, I'm not sure why you come out. Okay, then in that case, okay, a more equitable outcome will prevail. Okay, so here's the key dependent or the key assumption that is not stated in the extract. You have to uncover that yourself. So I've given you several perspectives to play with. Okay, moving on, try your best, okay, to build a synthesis. If not, you are donating marks that are left on the table because you don't even try. Okay? Okay, so you can see that this is a 10-mark question. Okay, especially for essay questions, there is always going to be a weightage question or a specific weight that's going to be given to synthesis, 30% in this case out of a 10-mark. Okay, so some of the key problems. Okay, let's quickly wrap up. Number one, okay, not identifying the key objective. Okay, you have to tie this with equity. Number two, okay, rationing. Okay, most of the students here, as evident from what we see in the outline, they don't have a clear understanding what is rationing. Okay, rationing ensures that basic access is going to split between the low and the high income earners. Okay, there's no one party that is going to dominate. Okay, so here are some of the extra antitheses that you can consider. Okay, but I don't recommend them because they don't have a lot of concept or economic concept involved, especially the first one. Okay, but if you were to read, okay, it makes sense. Okay, especially, you know, okay, for producers, okay, to bypass government regulation, okay, and to offer close ones and family and friends. Okay, especially during the great pandemic, you see this happening quite often, right? Okay, your family passing masks to one another. Right? So in this case, okay, this is not going to be discriminating between the rich and the poor. Right? So lower income earners are going to be affected. Okay, why? Okay, because friends and family will get the first cut or the first access to masks. Okay, and you can also look about the destabilizing effect if you know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, okay, I think black market is generally a very good antithesis to consider. Okay, out of so many choice. Okay. So with this, I have come to the end of the lecture test. Okay, so if you have any questions for me, okay, please stay back and ask me.